Hello and welcome to Theta Spring Hypnosis. My name is Alexandra and I'd like to discuss with you today a couple induction techniques and deepening techniques to help you help your clients. It's always important to remember that when you're working with a client, even if they're having a hard time visualizing or working with you, it's always important to set them up for succeeding. Because if a client, when you're working with them, is having a hard time visualizing something, feeling something, or even imagining something, it can be very frustrating for them through the process and thereby losing your rapport with them. So when working with them, I always want you to keep asking them questions through the process, either with a head nod or head shake. You can use ideomotor responses with the finger lifting for yes. If they're having a hard time, you can certainly notice it as they might even begin to be fidgeting a little bit in the chair, maybe moving their head away from you, a sign of a little bit of rejection as long as it's not the head slowly tilting down as you relax them. But it's important to pay attention to what they're experiencing by simply either asking them or watching their body relax. What you're going to begin to look for as a client enters into the hypnotic state is their body slowly relaxing, their mind relaxing, and a few key things do happen as they go into the hypnotic state. You'll begin to notice there might be a little bit of a dryness in their lips. You might also begin to notice that when their eyes close, before they close, their eyes might glaze over, they might have a hard time keeping them open, they might begin to blink a lot, harder you try to keep them open, which is inferring that they can't, and therefore that's going to get harder and harder, that when they're comfortable to just let their eyes close. Now, the ultimate somnambulist is going to have their eyes roll up and inward together, and there's a wonderful chart that you can look up, and I'll have to get the name of it, I'll post it in the comments, where you can actually test someone's somnambulistic tendencies and hypnotizability by asking them to look straight ahead, look up towards their forehead, and look up again, and then lower their eyes down. Now, if their eyes stay straight ahead, or when the eyelids are lowering down, if the eyes go inward and stay up, they are a much higher percentage of a somnambulist. And so that's a good key for you when you're working with clients. You can test them even before, but never tell them that they're not going to be a good candidate. Just simply use that as good data for you as you're working with them. Now, once the eyes are closed, you might begin to notice a light fluttering underneath the eyes because remember, as you go from the awake state into the hypnotic state, light, medium, and then deep, what you can look for is the eyes fluttering up and down, side to side, and then eventually they're going to roll back and up. And you can get the clients to naturally roll their eyes a little bit more by having them almost imagine a button right in the center of their forehead. You could ask them that when they're beginning to visualize or imagine something, that they could almost imagine it projected there across their forehead, as if it were a TV screen or a movie screen. You could even have them begin to imagine words there, like the word calm. You can spell it out nice and slow. Imagine the word calm written right across your forehead. And you could also imagine, which helps people relax, that the word calm could turn into a soothing liquid that could just melt down over the eyes, softening, and you're going to tell them each muscle as it goes down over the jaw, over the neck. You can also utilize some yoga techniques, breathing into the places where you hold tension. Have them scan their body because remember, a lot of clients, they don't know how to relax because they've forgotten. And so by taking a moment to remember how to relax and what it feels like, you're going to be reconnecting certain synapses in the body. Get in touch with the body and feel your body being held by what's underneath you. Whether it's a chair, whether it's the bed, a couch, feel it. Feel it from the top of the head down to underneath the toes. Imagine your body, a balloon, right? Use metaphors. If they're metaphorical, if they speak to you in metaphors, like, I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders, I feel light like a feather. Utilize metaphors with them. They're going to be much more apt into understanding them. A balloon, it's a great one. Everyone has blown up a balloon. You can have them think about a big balloon like when they were kids, a color, and what it was like to let the air out slowly. that each exhale, you could almost feel your body getting softer, calmer. You could almost to give the suggestion that they could melt down into what's holding them, to let what's holding them support them completely. Because it's very important to make your client feel safe and supported as they go through the process. Because remember, hypnotherapy, unlike conventional therapy, it's a very unique experience that they're having. Unlike conventional therapy, where they're there with the therapist talking through it. What their experience is their experience and theirs alone. And so you want them to feel comfortable, and even though there might be times when you say maybe a suggestion of, I want you to imagine pulling up a chair next to you where you could go and sit with gratitude. That's not necessarily a logical suggestion, but it is a confusing tactic. And remember, the conscious mind, which is the logic, the reason, it's going to have a hard time processing, go sit in the chair next to you where gratitude is. But the subconscious mind, which is highly imaginative, is going to take over if they're in a light, even medium, deep, light state of trance to make it happen. But if it doesn't, that's okay. You tell your clients right away if they're having a hard time imagining it, that's okay. Maybe they can get more in touch with the sensations of the body. Before you allow a client to go into hypnosis, maybe you can ask them, where's the most relaxing place you've ever been? Think of a time before we go into hypnosis, because some people have a hard time picking a place, or maybe the place that they pick has a lot of emotions tied to it. Some good, some bad. Some people maybe don't even realize it when they pick it. And so sometimes it's great to guide your clients through a place where you can describe it to them, but make sure you keep it a little bit general, or give the suggestion before you start that whatever I suggest to you, if I tell you to visualize an apple, and then I say as the hypnotherapist it's green, and you make it red, to honor whatever it is that your mind creates and produces. Because the subconscious mind has a way of interpreting things very uniquely to that person. And so while I might be having one experience, they might be having another. And for the client to always honor their experience. The fun part of testing hypnosis is always to play with time distortion, because remember, when you're going and putting someone into hypnosis, it's very good to pace your voice. It is better to go nice and slow, to give the conscious and subconscious mind a little leeway into visualizing and imagining what it is that you're talking about. And you can pace your voice to go up a little bit and down, but I would suggest that you don't have it go too high or too low, because it can agitate the client and allow them to feel a little less rapport with you as they go through the experience, thereby increasing a resistance with you in the hypnotic process. If you'd like to play with time distortion, a great deepening technique as well is have them imagine or visualize. Remember, telling them a visual is very different than an imagination. Visual is crystal clear pictures that you can hold on to, see as if you're experiencing it. An imagination is a little bit more maybe a flash, a relative thought. Have them imagine or visualize a clock on the wall that you could see each of the numbers from 12 down to 1. And that as we count down the numbers from 12, they disappear as if they fall off the clock. Let them get rid of the numbers. Let them slowly disappear as if you were clearing the mind of numbers. It's finite. People love numbers. They know numbers. You're counting backwards. You're counting down. The clock is letting go of time, because isn't it nice to allow the world to be put on pause? And so as the numbers disappear, it could just turn into a clock face with no numbers. And what do you end up with? The number 0. Where 0 is always deeper down, deep asleep. And for the purpose of hypnosis, each and every time you hear the number 0, you'll sleep quickly, calmly, soundly, and deeply. It can be utilized to help them hypnotize themselves if you're teaching self-hypnosis. It helps them have a cue and an anchor to reacclimate into the hypnotic state each time. So that's one great deepening technique. You're of course looking for the eye movement. You can even point it out to them to confirm for them if their eyes are moving. You might even notice a light movement of your eyes under your eyelids, letting them feel reassured that they're doing it right, because what clients don't want to feel or worry about is, am I doing this right or doing this wrong? And remember, even if a client just follows along long enough, they're going to get there. They will get there, but they're not sure. And so you want to keep reaffirming to them, yes, good. For anxious clients, keep telling them they're doing a great job, but not too much so that they feel like they're being babied. You want to support your client as they go through the experience. And you can ask them from time to time, what are they experiencing? Where are they feeling relaxation? If they're having a hard time and you're still seeing their breathing very heavy, they're having a bit of resistance, and you can tend to it. Have them come back up. There's 100 ways to hypnotize someone. Talk to them. Get to know what's going on, how you can help them. And remember, when you go into the hypnotic state, another thing that happens is your breath goes from a normal breath to very shallow. And certain clients, if they're laying down, they might feel that added pressure on their chest, which can make them a little bit anxious. And so for anxious clients, make sure that you do not direct too much attention to their breathing once it goes light, because they're going to get anxious that they're not breathing and can actually cause themselves to have a bit of anxiety in the hypnotic state. If it happens, what I want you to do is to teach them how in the control they are of controlling that anxiety. You can jump into circle therapy. You don't want to get them more anxious, but you want to show them how controlled they are. Redirect their focus to their toes, a body extremity, to the dark space behind their eyelids. Imagine breathing through your toes. Maybe as you begin to feel that calm space around you, that comfort of me here with you, you can begin to breathe that relaxation up through the body. You might even feel a light tingle in your toes. You might not. Either way, you're going to begin to feel something that lets you know how in control you are, because they don't want to feel out of control. And so you can begin to bring it up, bring it down. The harder you try to bring up that nervousness, the harder it becomes. Bring it back down. These are all some wonderful techniques that you can begin to utilize and understand. And remember, your clients are your best resource in how to do hypnotherapy. Ask them, get to know them. Swap feelings of, when I'm anxious, I feel this. Well, when was a time that you felt calm? Because you're drawing from memory. And memories are concrete things that they've experienced that you can bring forward with them. So all of these are wonderful tools that you can utilize to help them and you help them. So wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed today's session of learning a little bit more about tools and techniques that you can utilize in hypnosis. My name is Alexandra out of Theta Spring Hypnosis. Have a beautiful day.